Feel free to have this video on in the background. I'm kind of treating this one as a podcast deal, where there's a lot of thoughts I want to get off of my chest. And I feel like this is the best way to do so without making a super long community post. You know what I mean? I just kind of woke up and I had a lot of video ideas. And I realized that there was just so much silence around me. And I just couldn't remember the last time there was so much silence. And it let my thoughts kind of flourish out and ramble on in my head. And I just thought, I need to put this to a microphone. I kind of want people to hear this, even though I might not have anything to... Even though my perspective might not be entirely unique, or I might not have anything new to say, to add to the conversation. But I think there comes a point where we kind of have to exit our bubble and wake up to what's going on around us. Now, it's no lie that ever since the beginning of this year, 2020 has just kind of been a roller coaster of events. So much has happened. We have had the passing of Kobe Bryant. We've had COVID, which has definitely affected my life. I'm in college, dude. I shouldn't even say college. I'm in university. Although I feel like anyone who just says that they're in university, it almost sounds like just say you're in college, dude. You don't need to bring up the university bit. Maybe I'm just more cynical in that regard. It just sounds like people are praising themselves. I'm in university. I'm not in college. It's like, boy, you're in college. My bad. I'll keep going. But I'm in college. I'm in university. And COVID definitely affected a lot of that, because my last year in university is going to be entirely online, I believe. And that changes a bit. I wasn't really the interacting sort with everybody in my class. I wasn't really someone that spoke out much. And that's that's in part because I don't really want to make that many friends there. I don't really want to make a bunch of friendships that I don't intend to keep. You know what I mean? Because I kind of have a lot of really good friends, over the interwebs. And one day I want to somehow have some kind of cul-de-sac to ourselves, or we always call it the mansion, we can have a mansion of all of our friends together, or a cul-de-sac of all of our friends together. I feel like that's something that people have thought about with their friends once before, but I might be a little different in that it's something I might want to actively pursue, But where was I going with it? Yeah, so I do have a group of friends, and I just don't really feel the need to make that many ones in college. So it's going online didn't really affect me that much socially. It did affect the way that some of the professors were able to handle the switch. It was very clear that very clear that a couple of them have not even used the online services provided to them at all. One of my professors just was, I'm not trying to call out, but I am trying to call out. He was just really against using this online stuff. And the moment we switched, it was quite apparent he was doing things only through email. I missed some assignments. It was very frustrating. I was still able to pass the class, but it was a class I was almost near 100% in, and it was quite frustrating. But we have that, and honestly, me with that college deal, that's kind of the least of my worries at the point, because this was back in March. That was the least of my worries. But with everyone being quarantined, so many of my friends just started suffering. They just started suffering. And I get it, everyone was suffering, but no one's going to sit here and argue me that your friend suffering isn't going to emotionally impact you more than everyone else. You know what I mean? I still feel bad for everyone else, but there's always going to be a bit more of an emotional hit when someone that you've grown close to is the person that's suffering. And when I just see this, when I see these good people, when I see these people who have had my back for years, who I've like talked about deep topics with, who I've kind of grown to know, and my personality has been influenced from, just suffering for no good reason, just as if there is a good reason, but you know what I mean. Just suffering, and I see everyone else just kind of indoors and they're not able to do much, and even more so, I like to think I'm in kind of a busy neighborhood, and my father and I will go out and there's just no cars. Normally when there's tons of them, there's just no cars whatsoever. And it feels like it's midnight. It feels like we went out during, like when it was 12 a.m. It felt like we went out that time, but no, it's the middle of the day and there's nothing. And it feels like the world's at a standstill. Something about that just kind of hits me emotionally, where I'm like, man, what is going on here? Is there any coming back from this? And obviously that other part of me is like, of course there's coming back from this. Like, way worse things have happened. You've had the bubonic plague. You've had the Spanish flu, you know. And then I see the charts on Reddit and I'm like, oh, okay, so things are better. But then I see people suffering again and it's like, okay, which one is it? You know, it's of course there's a gray zone, you know. Like, things are bad, but they aren't as bad as they could be. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't acknowledge that they are still really bad right now. You've got to stay within that middle ground. But I've just seen so many people on either end of the extreme where they are totally safe, so they just don't care. Or they're incredibly scared because they have someone that can be affected by this thing. And it makes me fear for them as well. So I'm a very, very cautious person. I've stayed indoors almost the whole time. And people have made jokes like, you know, my life has only gotten better from COVID. And honestly, for me, I guess, like, just strictly how I do things, like based on college and the time it takes to actually go to the college and stuff like that, I guess from a very, very personal standpoint, COVID has made my life a little better. But that's only from the way I do things, like what stuff I need to get done. Because I also have more time for making videos. You know, I've been able to be more productive that way. Because doing online college, I feel, is a bit easier. At least for the classes I was taking that semester. Next semester is going to be a slug. Ugh. Because there are some classes that I have to do in person. So I still haven't been told how that's going to be done. Fall semester, I mean, I'm not doing a summer semester. But then I think, like, yeah, it has made my life better in a couple ways, but, like, by no means would I ever want it to stay this way. Like, kind of have this be a perpetual thing for everyone. And I know that most people who say that COVID's made their lives better wouldn't want it to be a perpetual 100% thing, because, like, Jesus Christ, like, why would you want so many other people to be afraid of going outside? But moving things along from COVID, then we have what happened with George Floyd. And before I speak on that, I want you guys to kind of get a feel for the kind of person I am regarding these things, because I feel like that's important. And, like, I'm just gonna be forthright with you guys. I'm a coward when it comes to these things. I'm a coward when it comes to speaking up. I'm a coward when it comes to talking about things that are viewed as political. I don't view this thing as a political issue. I view this thing as, like, a very basic human rights issue. I feel like viewing it as a political thing is kind of undermining the whole deal, if that makes sense. I feel like it's just kind of a way to wave off the issue as something political when you don't really want to acknowledge what's going on in reality. It kind of bothers me. Oh, whatever. But I am a coward when it comes to these things, and I have not been responding the way that I would want my Chad self to respond. Where I see what's going on, and my first instinct is, I should be out there. I should be doing something about this. I should be active with this. I should be linking tons of different fundraisers. I should be tweeting things out. I should be convincing, like, the people around me to do more as well. You know, I should be listening to other people I say telling me to do more as well. Not like people personally telling me to, but because that hasn't happened. But like people, on Twitter, over Twitter. That tends to be Twitter seems to be like the main source, I feel. Maybe that's just because I use it more, but a lot of the times with these things, whenever something happens, I'm always I don't know why, I'm always just so afraid of speaking up. Like, maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe I think that people are just going to put the spotlight on me more for saying something than if I hadn't. Because I always see some people speak up who have even like a tiny following, like, and I just worry for them. I don't know if this makes any sense. I don't think I'm explaining it right. I'll keep trying though. Because I'll see people speak up and then other people get mad at them for speaking up as if they didn't do it in a correct way. You know what I mean? Like, Aaron from the Game Grumps, I saw that he was saying something along the lines of that Game Grumps, is kind of like a group thing, and he doesn't want to speak on behalf of Game Grumps or kind of use it in a political fashion, where it would come off as disingenuous. You know what I mean? Where, Aaron, Ego Raptor, for those who don't know, he's like, I don't want to come off as disingenuous because Game Grumps is like a really comedic thing. So if we start doing this, people might think we're being really corporate about it. Like we're just trying to cash in on this kind of issue, because there might be some corporations out there. Like, and I agree with him. I thought what he said was pretty cool. Like, because there are people out there that are going to use what's going on in the world right now as means for cashing in on, like, emotions, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, but they might want to cash in on, hey, we care, guys, we really care, even though beforehand, like, it wasn't, you didn't really see much from them, it wasn't really a profitable position to take back then. Now, by all means, I'm sure there are some who care, of course. You don't want to go super on either extreme of the spectrum. But yeah, I see Aaron, and he's saying, I don't want to come off as disingenuous. So he was asking people beforehand, and he got hate for that, like, by some people. And then there were a lot of people that defended him. But his position, like, when he was saying, I don't want to come off as disingenuous, I don't want to come off as if I'm, like, trying to profit off of this, that spoke to me so hard. Like, there are times where I just feel like I need to say something, but I don't, because I feel like if I do, I'm going to come off as disingenuous. I'm going to turn people off from the issue because I might come off as disingenuous. I don't know why I feel that way, because I feel like the kind of person I've set myself up to be doesn't come off as someone that if I spoke, like if I were to speak about these issues, right, I don't feel like the people who follow me would perceive me as someone who's being disingenuous about them. So it might just be the way I perceive myself, where I see myself as the kind of person that if I spoke up, I would seem disingenuous. And that's something I feel like I just need to get over, where but yeah, I guess overall that is the kind of person I am. Like, I do really, really care about these issues. I just have all this anxiety about not wanting to say things in a way that actually turn people away from the issue. Because I've seen some people who get annoyed at what others are saying, and they're like, man, I don't even want to participate even at all now, just based on how these people are acting. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be that person that turns them away. Like, I should just leave it to the people that actually know how to put things better than I do, This is kind of like the first thing I've actually vocalized. This is the first time I've actually kind of vocalized these thoughts, so I apologize if they aren't the most fleshed out. I'm kind of going off the cuff here. But, look, obviously things need to change. This is something that I've seen many, many, many a times. Like, even years ago, I've seen tons of different videos, and they're all videos that just make me scared, frankly. Like, I just see videos and of all this kind of, I shouldn't even say misdemeanors, because they're not misdemeanors. Frankly, they're just disgusting actions. And I just kind of get scared because I just think to myself, gosh, if I'm getting scared, I'm just imagining like how these other people are feeling, you know? It's just not a nice feeling to have. And I almost feel like bad about feeling scared myself because it's like, dude, you're not like the main person that's suffering from this. Like, then I do feel bad about myself for almost feeling scared over these kinds of issues because like you want to believe in the goodness of people, but when you see, is badness even a word, but when you see the bad that comes that comes out of some people, it just kind of taints your feelings, you know? I kind of view myself as a really optimistic person, and I still am that way, but by no means do I blind myself to what needs to be done. But enough about me in that regard. Things do need to change. I'm 100% in for all the protests. However, let's link this back to COVID. I think it is terribly, terribly unfortunate that this is happening around the same time COVID is happening. Like, I'm not telling people to not protest. I mean, they're doing it correctly. Like, they have these masks on, and that's really good for them. But the timing for all of this just really sucks. Because I think COVID has like a 2-week incubation period, 14 days. Oh, man, dude. Like, we're going to have a lot of problems later on, aren't we? We're going to see a spike of cases, and then more people are just going to be affected, and it's just really unfortunate. It's just really sad, you know? Like, none of this should have been an issue in the first place. The COVID thing, or this, or the matter with George Floyd, like, none of that should have been, or anyone else affected, none of that should have been an issue. It shouldn't have ever been a problem. Like, this kind of inequality should have never been an issue. And it just boggles my mind how things that are so obvious to me and many others just aren't obvious to other people because they're just raised in a different fashion, you know? They're just born in a different way. It's crazy. I don't know. And I have no doubt that there are people who are watching this video, or who began watching this video, and the moment they started hearing me talk about this, we're just like, you know what? I don't want to hear this anymore. And then they clicked off. You know, I'm sure there are people like that. And I'm going to speak on those people real quick. I'm one of them. I'm one of those people where over time with issues like these, I just see it so often, and I don't want my head to be kind of filled with them, so I'll kind of turn away from that. And I feel like it's not a terrible thing to do because you can only see or hear so much before you're kind of like, okay, I understand, you know, I don't need this to be filled in my head 24/7, like every single day for an entire month. You know what I mean? Like I have to go eat. I have to go get a glass of water. I have to, you know, I want to play games and stuff, you know. I don't feel like people are terrible for not wanting this in their heads 24/7. I don't think that people are terrible for that, as long as they still acknowledge that this thing is still an issue and they're not turning away from it. But to anyone who stopped watching this video after I started bringing up these kinds of issues, I feel like that's just kind of part of the problem, you know? Like, if the reason why they left was because of what I just said, that they've already known about it, that they are 100%, they know this, you know? That's, by the way, this isn't going to be the only thing I talk about for this video, but I probably should have said that at the beginning, whatever. But to those people who left, if they left because they didn't want to hear it, period, and they've been avoiding it ever since, I feel like that is part of the problem. People really underestimate how much change can happen from a massive culture shift. Like I think like generational shifts, I guess, where like if once parents were thinking this kind of way about the world, and it was a way that you didn't really believe in, and now you're changing your beliefs apart from them, and now you're teaching your children something that was a bit more positive, thousands of that happening will over time lead to a huge culture shift that will no doubt impact how, you know, how the trajectory of humanity will, go over time. Because remember, if you change your angle by just like a small degree, like over the course of time, things change a lot. But yeah. I don't know, dude. Things are changing a lot. And if I have any more thoughts that are more fleshed out on that, I'll make sure to say it. But there is something that it's like a bit more personal to me, and this might seem almost a bit goofy, but there are a couple things I want to say. Now, this is kind of about YouTubers in a sense. Have you ever seen a YouTuber that even when you like, and this might hurt a little bit, so I apologize if I'm calling out any YouTubers you're a fan of, but I want you to keep an open mind when I say this. Have you ever seen a YouTuber who talks about wanting to hear your thoughts, or they want you to comment below, right? They're like, oh, how do you feel about X? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Any kind of thing like that. Because I've seen many YouTubers who do that. They say, I want to hear your thoughts. And it sounds genuine. And then I scroll down, and I don't see a single reply from the creator of the video, from the YouTuber who said that comment. I see all these comments of people earnestly giving their replies, thinking that, I don't think all of them think this, by the way, but some people earnestly believing that the YouTuber they look up to really does want to hear their thoughts. So they type out something meaningful. They might type out a wall of text. They might type out this or that. And then that YouTuber just doesn't respond to a single comment. Something really pisses me off about that. I don't know. Like, I have no doubt that some of the YouTubers who say, comment below, I want to hear your thoughts and stuff, I'm sure some of them are genuine. And I've seen people respond. I've seen some YouTubers who say that, and like they do respond, and that's cool. And I'm sure that there are some YouTubers out there who might respond to like one comment and they just read the rest of them. And I'm not asking them to read thousands of comments, but like, read some of them, right? They might actually read some of them, and they might respond in a video afterwards or whatever. It might show them off. That's cool, whatever. But I have no doubt, like, in my mind that, well, it's because I've seen it, but like, just the kinds of people that say that they want to hear your thoughts and they want you to comment below. And this might just sound like a moot issue. This might sound like something that's like, okay, like ZoomZike. Like, this doesn't sound like this doesn't sound like anything anyone should care about. I really do think it's something that people should care about, though, because when there's a YouTuber who talks to his fans and almost seems like, that they're earnestly connecting with their fans, right? And says, comment below. And their fans are under this impression that the YouTuber that they look up to, that they have grown close to over the years, wants to hear their thoughts. And then they comment something. And then that YouTuber doesn't look at all. And it's quite clear that they only said, oh, comment below for some kind of jab at the algorithm, maybe. I don't know what their deal is. Maybe they think that more people commenting is going to help them in the algorithm. So by saying, hey, comment below, I'm really interested in seeing your thoughts or hearing your thoughts. Maybe they think by saying that they're just going to get an algorithm boost, or they're in their head. It's like, oh, by saying this, I'm going to perpetuate conversation in the comments that are going to make people talk to each other and stuff. And I'm just not going to say anything. It's whatever. I'm just going to go make another video and just say the same thing. And that stuff just really gets to me. I don't know why. I guess it's just because I think of a lot of the times at these things, I guess it's just because I think of a situation, because it's hard. It's easier for me to relate to it or empathize with. So like, for example, I think of a single person, like a single boy or a single girl who's watching a YouTuber. They hear that, and then they really, truly believe they will get a response, or that their comment will at least be read. And then they type out the response, and then they move on, And then that YouTuber just doesn't do anything, and that just irks me. I don't know why. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm not trying to be an elitist here with comments and stuff. I don't respond to like every single comment. I like to think I'm good about it, but I don't. Whatever. I don't want to. And this is another downside to me, I feel. Where like I want to say something about the way I respond to comments, but then I'm worried about coming off as egotistical. I'm always so self conscious about the way I'm going to come off to people sometimes. Whatever. But one of the last things I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's one that kind of affected me a bit emotionally, was there was someone in my Discord server. Well, okay, if you had seen my Mario Maker level, the new one, it was called Flipping Frenzy. I'd said in the middle of it, it'd be really cool if I could see this whole level on like one canvas. You know what I mean? Because the level itself was like, the whole conceit of the level was that it flipped, right? Even though I wasn't really good at I wasn't really good at explaining that, or I wasn't really good at showing that off. That was the conceit of the level. It flipped, there were different orientations to it, and I thought to myself, it'd be really cool if I saw this whole level in like one canvas, one huge canvas, maybe on graph paper, or I don't even know if I said graph paper. That'd be really cool. And there was this guy who, in my ZoomZike Discord server, I always have to say ZoomZike beforehand, but in the ZoomZike Discord server, he was like, you know what, I want to try that. I want to give that a shot. And he's like, I can put multiple pieces of graph paper together, and I can like combine it, and you know, I can do this for you. And I said like, oh my gosh, dude, like you don't have to do that. Like I said, I think I said something along the lines of, if you literally don't have anything better to do, then you can go ahead, but please don't do it if you don't have anything better to do. And he's like, no, of course, it's fun. And I saw in progress pics, and today when I woke up, I just kind of, I saw the finished product, and I'll put it on screen right now. And just, you know, from his name's Nate, and I saw the whole thing, and there was just something that kind of hit me, you know, like it's a feeling, because it was one of the first times that I want to say, because someone has made like fan stuff before for me, like on kind of smaller scales, but there's something about like a person going through all the effort of seeing my level and kind of piecing all that together and then like showing it to me, because like they were earnestly like they like earnestly enjoyed it that much, and it just kind of got to me. I don't know, there's something weird about it that just kind of hit me, like people like really care, like people like this person really cares about, you know, a little of what I stand for, or like I've made enough of a difference for someone to care enough to like do something like this for me, or just the fact that someone wanted to do something like this for me. It was just a combination of so many things, that someone wanted to do something like this for me, or that I touched someone in a way for them to want to do this, or even more so that there was someone that, just a good person. I don't know. Sometimes I just tear up at just seeing someone be a good person, because it's like I see all this negative stuff around, and I'm trying to stay optimistic. And whenever someone just kind of restores my faith in humanity, just a little bit, little pieces at a time, it just kind of feels really good. I wish I could hang what he made up on my wall. It was really cool. Oh my gosh. There's something about that, dude. I hope it's something I don't ever really get used to. I'm really thankful to that. just, I'm just kind of at a loss for words for that kind of stuff. I haven't like prepared myself properly to respond to that, so I'm just kind of thinking about it now, because I had woken up albeit a little late. I woke up in like the afternoon, and I checked the server, and I see that he was totally done, and I just saw all the effort that went into it, and like all the coloring. There was a coloring done, like it was like a 1-to-1 recreation, and it's just amazing. Like some people are just like that, I apologize. I'm sorry if I can't like find the words. One other thing I feel like I'm not the best at is kind of expressing my gratitude, because again, it all just comes back to that same thing. I don't want to come off as disingenuous, and I feel like part of the problem with me in that regard is I kind of treat myself as a very logical oriented person. Or like if my friends are having issues, I feel like there are two kinds of people. And then there's an in-between, of course, where like some people will hear you out when you have a problem, and some people will try to solve that problem. I'm the latter. I'll try to solve the problem. And I feel like I've been kind of shifting towards hearing someone out on it. Like I will ask questions to them, but I need to be better about the actual comforting thing. So whenever I do have to express myself emotionally, I don't want to come off as disingenuous. I think that's like my main thing, but I'm trying to get a lot better about that, kind of expressing myself. And even in the videos, sometimes I'm doing that, like that Ike video from yesterday. Oh no, it felt kind of good to just express myself like emotionally, because normally, like with the identifying luck videos or anything else, I don't really have that. I feel like I don't have that much emotion put into my voice. Maybe other people would disagree a lot, but I do put a cap a little bit because I feel like I can be a bit loud and stuff. And I don't know, dude. I've probably been repeating the same. Like when I was making when I made that Mario Maker video, people were like, ZoomZike every 5 seconds. You know what I mean? like that was something I was saying over and over and over again. And I'm like, oh gosh, do I really say it that often? It probably isn't that big of an issue. I wonder if there's something I've been saying here in this video that I've been repeating. Probably the words I don't know. That's probably the deal. I mean, like, I don't know. Something a close friend of mine says a lot too. But man, sometimes it's good to just kind of take a day like this and kind of reflect over what's been going on, though. I feel like people kind of need that time of silence, just that time of silence. Like, so much stuff can go on. We can kind of get caught up in the routine, but have you ever just stopped mid-routine and just listened to what's going on around you? It can feel almost kind of liberating in a sense, where you just kind of release all your inner inhibitions. That was an unnecessarily long word for me to use there. You release all this tension in your body, in your head. Just don't really think about anything. Just listen to what's going on around you. Just kind of appreciate what you do have, and appreciate the people that are fighting for, something more, something that is basic, something that is like a basic right. Just like appreciate, like even if you aren't doing that much personally, just like appreciating that there are people out there who are proactively inspiring change, And I'm trying to get better about all that. Man. I appreciate you guys. I really do. I mean that from the heart. Like, I've seen repeat comments from people, and I'm starting to remember people. Like I don't think I'm the best at remembering names or stuff. I feel like the number one way for me to remember You know how it's like, oh, you're better remembering faces or remembering names. I feel like I'm better remembering faces. I feel like most people are. So I think that's the best way for me to kind of remember, uh, like, I feel like that's the best way for me to remember, like, someone who's commenting a lot. If they have the same profile icon for a long period of time. If you change your profile icon mid-commenting, I probably won't remember as easily. Because, like, I've seen, people comment, and I've seen, like, a dude with, like, a Danganronpa icon, like, from Danganronpa 2, the Ultimate Yakuza, and I'm like, I remember that commenter, I remember that dude, right? Like, it's really easy for me to remember based on profile icon alone, and I'll respond, and I think to myself, like, the past comments that they've made, it's really easy to compartmentalize the comments that they've made in the past. I don't know why, maybe it's just something that comes natural to me, or maybe it's easy for a lot of people, but I really do like connecting and hearing everyone's stories. And that goes for this video too. Like, there's a word I learned about a year ago called sonder. And it's like a made up word, but it's a word now because like enough people have used it, I feel. And sonder is the sudden realization that everyone has a story that's just as deep and complex as yours. And that definition just hit me for the first time. Like, I resonated with that. Because have you ever just stopped to think and go, oh my gosh, like, my life, all up until this point, everyone else around me, every other person I've met has been living a life as complex as mine, if not more complex. Maybe a little less complex, who knows? Every person, every person I talk to, that one clerk that I talked to at the local 7-Eleven, he's been living for as long as I have, maybe, or even longer. And he's had a life just as complex with thoughts, emotions, love, hate, all this stuff. It's just crazy to think about. And that's part of the reason why I love responding to comments. Because I'm in this perpetual state of sonder where I am 24/7 acknowledging that everyone is currently living their life as I'm living my life. So it's actually impossible for me to not respond to comments when I'm like living that, you know what I mean? Like when someone comments, I'm like, how do I not try to learn more about you? How do I not try to learn more about your story? It's almost impossible, like it's like you are a person just like me living on earth who has had their own story for years. How do I not get interested in something like that? Just at a base level, that's something that's interesting. Man, I was about to say I don't know again, but I think I'll leave it off there. I think I'm kind of satisfied. I've released this tension that I feel like I've been needing to release, and then we can kind of get back to some more videos tomorrow. Not multiple videos tomorrow. We're still doing this one video a day thing. One thing I do want to say, though, because there is an interesting comment someone made about whether this was more mentally taxing whether it was more mentally taxing, or they didn't say mentally, I said mentally. They said it was more taxing doing a video every day or the behemoth videos that I make every other month or every month or so. I think the one every day, doing this one every day, although I still really enjoy it, it's just having a deadline period I feel like is going to be more mentally taxing. If there was no deadline, let's say I didn't announce the June Zoom, let's say I never announced it, then I feel like it would be about even, but just having a deadline period is going to make something more mentally taxing. I don't know why. So for example, let's say I had a deadline for like identifying luck like next month, right? And I didn't announce a June Zoom, right? So I was making videos daily, but I didn't have a deadline for them. I think that would be less mentally taxing than the longer video that I do have a deadline for. So anything that has a deadline is going to be more mentally taxing for me. Let's say this June Zoom thing wasn't a thing. Let's say this June Zoom thing wasn't a thing and I didn't have a specific deadline every single day and I just kind of naturally did it every single day. Then yeah, I would say that the mental tax is about even for both. However, editing wise, it is way less taxing doing it daily because, well, for one, having long videos in Sony Vegas will just kind of eat up it will just eat up what is going on. Like, I swear, I feel like hours of my life, days of my life has been taken away just from Sony Vegas freezing or the video preview not being as good. And trust me, I have looked up so many solutions. Like any solution you have in your head right now, I've tried it already, man. I've tried. Like there might be one that you have that I haven't thought of yet, but I genuinely feel like it's the specs on my computer. I don't think my computer's bad. My computer's pretty good, but like for the kinds of video editing I do, I feel like it should be a little bit better. I feel like that's something I want to invest my Patreon money into. I feel like that would be a good investment. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a respectable investment, but and then there's that thing. I'm so frugal with money though. Like I think I've already said this before, but my girlfriend is gonna, like Adriana, like that's her name. She was with me on the streams, like the freaking, the Mario Party side mode streams. You heard her. I'm sure. Like most people watching this video, if you've seen the Mario Party side mode streams, you've heard her before. I've known her for years, and I really love her. I really care about her a lot. Oh my gosh, she's my soulmate. And she's gonna be moving in with me next month, and it's just a big change in my life. And I'm very frugal to actually spend any of the money I've actually made off of Patreon so far, because it's like, is it really worth it to actually invest this into like having a better computer for video editing, or should I just save this for like specifically as like emergency funds? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a push and pull, and I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I think that's everything. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I probably won't have another one of these this month. I might later. Maybe a couple weeks from now I might. But I genuinely hope you have a good day. And I genuinely wish for you to take care of yourselves. Or take care of yourself. But yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. So sorry that I'm kind of ending it on a weird note here. I've said a lot of things that I'm not going to say I didn't plan on saying. Like I did plan on saying it, but I'm not used to kind of expressing these thoughts. So I apologize if anything I said throughout this video came off as, again, disingenuous, or it came off as negative or bad in a way. You know, that's not my intention. These are issues I really care deeply about, and I'm trying my hardest to like express it properly in a way that people know I care about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to be posting tomorrow. We're going to do this every single day. I'm not stopping, you know. Like some people were saying like, hey, you know, this is how you're going to burn out. And I'm sitting here like, dude, I have not been on YouTube for 7 years. I have not been on YouTube for this long to get this close to achieving my dream, you know, like just to stop, you know, like I did not make this Patreon. I did not like make the June Zoom. I did not make those movie length videos just to be like, I'm good. I don't want to do YouTube anymore. I want to make content. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to do that. Like that. I'm not going to burn out of making videos. That's not going to happen. You know, sure, I might take a break at one point. I'm not offended by people who say this. Like, it makes sense. I get it. But, like, you got to see my perspective here. This is something I love doing. The more I make a video every day, the more I want to make the next video. It's kind of like when you tell Sakurai you need to take a break, and then he's thinking to himself, dude, I love making video games. What are you guys talking about? That's exactly how I feel, you know, about the videos thing. But I understand from a health concern why it might be an issue, though. But yeah, okay, that's genuinely everything. I'm sorry, it seems like I was going to end the video like every single time, and I just ended up not. I'll see you tomorrow for the June Zoom. See ya.